Welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford, and right now I am in Austin, Texas. Once again, I this is a very surprising turn of events. Um, but about an hour after my my guest for this episode and I finished up, um, I worked it out that I'm adopting a puppy for my friend in Austin who he found or a friend of his had found a whole litter of puppies and their mother abandoned on the side of the road. Uh, uh, at this point about a week ago. Um, and so yeah, he took him to my friend's place where he's got a garage for them to hang out for a bit until they're able to try to find him a home or try to find homes for the puppies and the mother. So yeah, I've made the decision to go adopt one of those puppies. Yeah, so I'm driving back to Austin. It should take a couple days, and yeah, at the time that this episode is out, I'm going to be bonding with my new puppy, Clancy. So I'm really excited about that. And yes, it is 100% a reference to the Midnight Gospel. That show for me has had just a tremendous impact on on really how I've been processing this year. And I don't know, maybe you might have guessed from my King Gizzard fandom, but it my fandom in general goes beyond uh like just enjoying something. I really, because how I enjoy things, it's what can I take from it and then apply to my life. And there were a lot of things. So like there are a lot of ideologies in King Gizzard that I take, I apply to my life. I mean, first one off the top of my head is like, in the song Time Equals Fate, pondering things in the past makes you blind. That is 100% accurate. And I think that's something, that's just a little piece of advice you can take with you in whatever situation you're in. You can't worry about the past when you got the present to deal with, and whatever the future is. The future is what you make of the present. So why bother dealing with the past? Anyway, so in Midnight Gospel, there are a lot of conversations that they explore. It did kind of invigorate my passion for podcasting as well, so I think it makes sense. But anyway, regardless of whether it makes sense, this episode was a really fun one to do. This guy John, he hit me up on actually on a few different platforms. He hit me up on Facebook Messenger, commented on the last episode that was posted on YouTube. Sorry, my hair is like annoying today. This is one of the days where I only used conditioner, so it's just making my hair like long and extra curly, and it's hard to control. Shampoo kind of gives it a little more fluff to it and structure. Like the shampoo makes it a little froey, which is easier to manage than like just strands of hair falling in the middle of my face, and I don't know. Anyway, self-conscious and shit. This guy John hit me up to he's like, dude, I think we will really vibe. I really enjoy your podcast and everything. I'm just like, fuck yeah, man, let's do it. Didn't need to oversell it. But we just had a fucking great conversation, and you'll get to see it in just a minute. But he has a really cool, like, everything about this guy is fucking awesome. Like, that I was able to gather. He is a second generation deadhead, as is his girlfriend. And they met, and we again, it tells the story of how they met. But it's cool as hell that like they're the second generation of what a lot of people would consider to be like what Gizz is modeled after. So like imagine like all the Gizz babies that there will be, I mean, assuming that people still have interest in procreating, in the next 10 years, and what who they develop into. Like it's going to be interesting to see like a second generation of Gizz heads, because in this episode here, we get to see a second generation of deadheads and just how they process, or how they live life, and what draws them to stuff like King Gizzard. so John and I spend a while talking about that and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is going to be a really fun episode, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So without further ado, please welcome to to episode 46, John from Pennsylvania. Thanks for hitting me up and being on the podcast and also like listening. How did you end up finding the podcast?
I got a link from it or something. I think you might have posted in the Facebook page.
Oh yeah. Because I had Dave on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I watched that episode, and then I clicked on it and I really dug it. You know what I mean? So I think I've watched mostly all the ones with video, most of them anyway.
Oh, sick, dude! Thanks. I appreciate it. It's I like seeing that kind of organic growth. Just like I mean, even though I did, post it on the page, but still, it's cool that you dug it, and that's what those posts are designed to do. So it's cool to see that shit work out.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah. So I guess let's get a little into how you are acquainted with King Gizzard. You mentioned that you're a second generation Deadhead, and so was the Gizz fandom born out of that, or totally independent?
Well, I'll tell you, it's kind of a long story, but anyways.
We got all the time in the world.
I think the first time I heard them, it popped up on my Spotify. I think I was on Lennon Claypool radio, Lennon Claypool Delirium. And I listened to it, and then I was like, oh man, I think it was like Castles or something. And I was like, oh, these dudes are crazy. And I kind of checked them out a little bit, and then kind of forgot about them for like a year. And then a real close friend of mine is heavy into them, and then brought him back up. And then it's been history since then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How long ago was that?
2 years ago, maybe.
Word.
Yeah.
So that must have been.
So
like,
I'm a little late to it, but all the same.
Yeah, I mean it's so weird. Like what is time really when it comes to King Gizz? Because sure, there are people that have been around, they've been fans since like 2014, since the Mind Fuzz days and even before then. And I mean that's just insane to me. Like those are some people who are really like right place, right time. But I mean like I consider myself a little late to it just because like I discovered them the end of 2017.
Okay.
But I mean, but it's still so cool to see people who they just got into them after Rat's Nest came out.
Right.
And I mean, it's just an interesting. It's interesting to talk to people about like, I don't know, when they joined or like when they became fans, because I mean, it all depends on the timing of it, like what your perception of them is.
And I mean, it's just being into the Dead, man, and their versatility. Like, if you want to listen to whatever style of music you're feeling for that day, the Dead, they got blues, jazz, you know what I mean? That whole array of shit. And then Gizz is the same way. The way that, like, hearing Rat's Nest and then listening to like sketches, you know what I mean? It's just, I love that they have it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I do get a little insecure with my record collection because like like half of it is King Gizzard albums, and then like I've got a few Meat Puppets records and then like a few one-offs from other artists. But it's like I don't know, because like I feel like I have all of the stuff I need to have. There's like there's enough variance, but but it still feels weird just to like know that I have that from just one group.
It's so great. I was into vinyls probably, I've always been into vinyls my whole life, but started collecting them pretty heavy, I don't know, maybe around 2010, something like that, and then kind of moved away from it for a while, you know what I mean, just dealing with life and everything. And then now getting back into it with Gizz is like, it's great.
Yeah, and what's cool about Gizz that like of all people, my dad pointed out was just how like with all their with their vinyl records, they're always doing something cool with like the inner artwork. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
the covers themselves are sick, but like,
Well, it's few nights ago, my girl and I were having an experience, and I was just, kind of watching their videos and stuff, and somehow the full album came on of Quarters, and it was just a big still image on the TV of that album cover, and it just, after that I was like, oh, we got to get the records, and you know what I mean, like, it's plain and simple. So
yeah, I mean that experience, I take it, was LSD.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course it was.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, it's so fun, like, because it was actually, because like the second time I ever saw Gizz live was like it was 2018, and I was on mushrooms, and I saw them play The River in full. Like
oh man,
they played it all the way through, and just seeing that video to it, in the
yeah.
background. I'd somehow never seen the video online. I'd only heard the
Oh
song.
really?
Yeah, so it just blew my mind, and I was just immediately,
Yeah,
I felt like I was attached at the hip with the gator, you know.
absolutely, man. That's one of my favorite videos. It's so fun, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's so nice.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's cool
definitely.
how like the video just starts with I mean, it just starts so simply, with like the bed, and it's just like just morphing into all these different sort of like, acid imagination type of animation, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's a river and there are gators and they're
Well,
running
it's so
around.
so cool because, like, I mean, I'd seen their artwork on Spotify, and then, like, just images online and stuff. And I knew that they did that whole vinyl thing and how, you know what I mean? But I really wasn't all the way into that, you know what I mean? Like, just, I don't know, whatever. And then my girl was like, after that, she's like, oh, because she was into Gizz too, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
after that night, she got it. She was like, she even said it. She's like, she's like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? It turns out you got to watch your music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
So,
um, I mean, it is interesting because like, like obviously like I'm full in, like all in on Giz,
yeah,
and
no doubt.
it's weird because like I remember there was a time where I wasn't, like where I was just like, what the fuck is this? And it was just like I kept watching them, like I kept watching like their live videos.
Yeah,
I usually stay away from music videos, actually, just or like before Giz, I stayed away from music videos because
right, right, totally.
I felt like that was obscuring the music itself. But Giz, obviously, they sort of work that into the whole thing, like it adds another dimension.
They're genius, dude. With the imagery and just how the Gizverse. I mean, it's just it's crazy. It's so great.
Yeah, like in comedy we have like there are callbacks,
Hmm.
and any great like comedy special will have like a whole bunch of callbacks to previous jokes sprinkled throughout, and you
Right.
never see them coming. um and like that's in just that mechanism, it just does something to the mind that's
Yeah.
like, oh, there it is again. And it's like, sometimes it's hilarious, other
It
times it's
makes you
just, yeah, other
it
times
just
it's just
it
fucking
makes you
cool.
a part of something. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that you're watching evolve, and
Yep.
or like organic or whatever it is. Just, you know what I mean? It hits all the senses. You know.
I mean, exactly, because it's really what it is. It's an inside joke. Like it's a joke that
Right.
you're in on with
Totally.
with the performer, and it's, I don't know,
Totally.
like it's so weird um to like equate music to joke writing, but like I mean, it's all there. It's very much the same kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I can see that for sure.
but yeah, I mean, so I mean, Giz just it's amazing with that. But like I was saying, like it took a while to like really get in to it, because it's just like, what the fuck is this? They're
Well, I mean,
so
it
into themselves.
it has to. It's a time. It's a process. You know what I mean? Like, there's levels of, and you watch yourself go through the steps too. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way you can just listen to a Giz song for the first time and then understand it all and get it all and be in it all. It's, it's a journey, dude.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one that requires a lot of repetition, which a lot of people are not
For
really
sure.
game for. Uh,
Right. 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 But
I
yeah,
mean,
no, like with the Dead, I mean, it's the same way. You know what I mean? Their shows, the set list might be the same as 2 nights before, but the version and where they're playing at all affects, you know what I mean, what it is. And
Well, I mean,
yeah,
it's always been my understanding that the Dead basically never worked with a set list, that they just kind of flowed into stuff. Do you
they
have any more insight into that? Because I've never seen them live.
yeah, I've read something about it, where they did have set lists, but and then it wasn't a guaranteed thing. You know what I mean? If Jerry started picking a riff, I mean, they were so intertwined, they would all just go into it. But like, depending on the year and decade, like second set would have like 70s, it would have Fire on the Mountain, Scarlet Begonias together for, you know what I mean? That was
Yeah.
their, and then, in the 80s it would change. And so it all depends on the year and what they had just put out at the time, you know what I mean? So, but then you could hear a set list from their early 60s material, you know what I mean, in a
Mhm.
1980s show. But there's always staples that, like, 2 or 3 songs that have to be played together, you know what I mean? Like, they are just on their own, they're cool, but together it's a whole nother
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, like Gizz does that with Crumbling Castle in the Fourth Color. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that is a really cool dynamic of a band to have as well. Like, just to have, like, you have the songs, they're in their order on the album, and then
Hmm.
they find a way to like rework them live, and to the point where sometimes it doesn't even sound like it's the same song, but it's still just as fucking cool.
Yeah, like, when I first started getting into them, I understood like their albums were conceptual and stuff like that. So then when I listened to them live, I kind of expected them to play like whole albums and stuff. But then I saw them mismatch in all these different albums and songs, and I was like, oh my God, that's killer. You know what I mean? I love that. And it makes you excited for a show because you're like, ooh, what set list is going to be? What are they going to play? You know what I mean? And you can't skip through tracks or something like that most of the time because you're like, oh, I want to get to
Yeah.
this song because I'm looking at the set list, but these ones before it, and it's great. Like San Francisco
Mm-hmm.
is killer, so great.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you what we thought of that live record, because like that was back before I think before they had even 10 albums. Uh,
Right. 16. What was 2017? Right, it was when they put out that
yeah, that
big
was when
body.
they came out with the 5 albums.
Right,
But like through to that point in 2016, it was basically everything through everything through Nonagon.
right.
So like so the Quarters had just come out before,
12
and
bar and
in
stuff.
Paper
Yeah,
Mache, yeah, and
yeah,
Mind Fuzz. But yeah, I mean, because they basically just played the River, the few songs off Nonagon, and the Mind Fuzz suite, and then Trapdoor.
yeah.
Um, I mean, but it was still like that album was sick because, or I mean, that show was sick because like it showed how everything was just intertwined.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
like
And it's just, I mean, with their lyrics and all that, you know what I mean? Everything pops up together and stuff, which is, it's just so much fun, man, to get into. But I love the San Francisco show. I've only listened to it online and stuff, so I don't know if it's like a B-side or whatever, but from Trapdoor
mhm.
through is like, was it Trapdoor into River?
It might have been, I forget the exact
I don't know. Yeah.
track
But
order.
then,
That sounds right though.
yeah, I
Because
think
like
so. And then, Death Roll, and then into Head on Pill, which is
yeah.
mad. Dude, that Head on is killer.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, I always harp on this, but it's so cool to me to see how their Head on Pill played live has evolved, because like that was very much like sort of still in the early like the early
They were
renditions
kind of
of.
just figuring it out, kind of still how to fit it in and what to do.
Yeah, because like obviously they're never gonna play Head on Pill just like all the way through album version,
Right,
because
right.
because that does kind of drag on for a while. But like when they play it live, they incorporate all of the other or like a bunch of other tracks that they had previously played throughout the show, which is just like a sick way to wrap the whole thing up.
Yeah,
Um, and to see that sort of like as loose as it was in San Francisco, 4 years ago, was just
right.
now they go for like more than a half hour with it,
What
and
uh
it's like
what
way tighter.
venue was that at? Do you
That
know?
was at the Independent.
Okay.
which is it's pretty small there.
Is it?
I've been there once. I saw Cass McCombs and the Meat Puppets back in 2014
Nice.
there. But yeah, it was it's a small venue. It's like, I don't know, fuck it, I'll Google it. The capacity, but it can't
Nice.
be more than 1,000 people.
But yeah, like it's was the audience recording too, wasn't it?
No, I mean, like they had a mic, they had mics set up.
Through the soundboard and stuff. Or?
Yeah, like it was all coming from the board.
Cool.
But I mean, they definitely had, microphones that were picking up the crowd pretty effectively.
Right. Yeah,
But,
it's hilarious.
yeah. So I just looked it up. Capacity 500 people.
Wow.
So I mean, I can only imagine what that must have been like to see Gizz in such a small place like that.
Yeah, I've yet to see him, man. I'm like chomping at the bit about it. I don't know if I'm gonna make it out to Red Rocks or not, but we're definitely gonna do the Chicago and Philly show whenever it happens.
Yeah.
It's set for October now, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that this year kind of taught everybody is just, I don't know, it might not be good to speculate.
Right. Definitely.
But,
I've had a few shows from different bands rescheduled because, like, right when that COVID hit around February, March, we had Billy Strings tickets, a band called Lost Dog Street Band tickets, and those all got canceled. And we go to Peach Fest every year. That's in Pennsylvania, and all that stuff just got.
Yeah.
I mean, our summers consist of shows and festivals and camping, and you know what I mean. So it was definitely different this year for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Take me through that a little bit. Like what did you end up? I mean, did you still end up going camping and stuff? Like just doing doing shit on your own like that? Or?
We did. The Allegheny National Forest is close to here,
Oh, sick.
so we like to go camping there quite often. You know what I mean, when we can and stuff. But there's no live music involved with it. It's just regular camping. Take the kids and stuff, and it's a blast. We love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's Montage Mountain. It's a ski resort in Pennsylvania where they have Peach Fest every year.
Oh, sick.
And yeah, it was started by the Allman Brothers and stuff. Warren Haynes carries it on now, but it's great. It's 3 days, but it's literally on a ski mountain. So hopefully your conditioning's okay, because to get to the stage, it's down the side of this mountain, like literally like a 15-20 minute walk. So coming back to your camp, especially after dancing for a couple hours,
Oh my God.
It gets a little rough sometimes.
Yeah, that's a workout. I mean, that sounds incredible. I wish I'd heard of that. When is Peach Fest normally?
Last year it was supposed to be 4th of July weekend. This 2020 it was supposed to be 4th of July weekend. The lineup was so killer, man. 4th of July weekend with fireworks, but yeah, it got canceled. It's set up 2021. Everybody has dates out, but who knows if those are just dates so that they don't have to cancel anything officially. Yeah. So maybe they just throw out a date. Sorry, I keep getting text messages.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Like it's just a way to sell more tickets.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have your tickets for Red Rocks?
For Red Rocks. Yeah, and like they offered a full refund. Since it was going to be a while, and I'm just like, nope, I'm keeping them. And right. Same with the Berkeley show.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I was also considering going to Bonnaroo this year since King Gizzard was going to be one of the bands there.
I've never been to Bonnaroo.
Yeah, neither have I. The only reason I was thinking of going was I've got a buddy who lives out in Missouri, and he was just thinking of Bonnaroo as a fun thing to do. I didn't even know he was into music or anything. But right. And I was also just like, dude, if I go to Bonnaroo with you, we got to see King Gizzard. And you got to take mushrooms. And he's just like, well, I don't know about those mushrooms. And I'm just like, no, we're going to take them. It's going to be great. But right. COVID. So
yeah.
Who knows?
It's crazy, man. So you're from Seattle?
Yeah. I grew up near Seattle, so nice flannel, by the way.
All right. I
uh,
just noticed that like 2 minutes ago that we had the same color shirt
yeah.
on.
But yeah, I grew up near Seattle, and then like also lived in New York for a while. So
Yeah, yeah,
I've always been bi-coastal my whole life. But now I live in Joshua Tree because
yeah,
turns out I really need the sun. Uh, like
man.
seasonal depression is a
I
bitch, and it took me forever to realize that it was based on where I was geographically.
Yeah, man. I live in northwestern Pennsylvania, so it's like
Oh yeah,
8 months of kind of gray skies, and you know what I mean. So
yeah.
I
I
take
lived in
I take
Pittsburgh
vitamin
for
D and stuff like every day just to even get it in your body, dude. Because you don't see the sun for months, really. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean,
it
even in
can
the
be.
summer, it's like the thunderstorms are just insane. Like I lived there, I lived in Pittsburgh the summer 2013,
Oh,
and
where at?
I mean, like I was in North Oakland.
Okay, I know Oakland.
Yeah, like that was my apartment was like maybe a 10-minute walk from Pitt. And then
Yeah,
I worked. I was actually a baseball scouting intern with the Washington Wild Things.
yeah.
Like
I
out in
lived in
Washington, PA.
Washington, dude.
Yeah, dude,
Washington, yeah.
that place is a real trip.
I saw Bob Dylan at the stadium, the Wild Things Stadium.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like that gave me such a new insight into like what minor league baseball teams are all about. Because like, sure, there's baseball, but like Washington, PA, like they're all about entertainment in general. Like
Right.
they had like wrestling events. I think like you saw Bob Dylan there. They've got other concerts.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I mean they've got a great team of people out there. Running the show. So
Yeah,
shout
it's a
out to
cool
them.
place because then they have it used to be called Starlight Amphitheater right there in
Mhm.
Bergenstown, which is in between Washington and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's a venue called the Rex in Pittsburgh that's been doing a lot of cool stuff for the past few years. And they opened up another theater, I think called the Orpheum or something like that.
Yeah.
It's that's where you're going to see Billy Strings at. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I'm not. The name sounds familiar, but is the Orpheum that outdoor space
Yeah. Can you hear all those dogs barking?
a little bit? They're fine.
Okay, sorry. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna close this door. Sorry, man.
Yeah. No worries. Noniga Infinity opens the door and John closes it.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got 4 dogs.
Hell
So
yeah. Yeah. I'm actually looking at adopting a puppy right now. So that's a whole
nice.
separate thing. But yeah, like when I was living in Pittsburgh, I managed to see 2 shows. And I forget if I saw Soundgarden at the Orpheum.
Okay.
But I saw Soundgarden play. Like they play this outdoor stage. It's like right on the river. It's like close to the state where the stadiums are at.
Okay.
But I forget if that was like some sort of like
Well,
corporate sponsor.
yeah, they have
Name.
Point Park right there too, where they do the arts festival every summer and have live music every year there and stuff too.
Okay, yeah.
91.3 WIEP is the station that does a lot with that stuff, getting bands and anything, you know what I mean, creative, really. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool that there's still radio stations out there that are like trying to do stuff for music. Like obviously Seattle, we got KEXP,
Right.
but like it's cool to see that shit in like smaller markets as well.
Yeah.
Especially when like a lot of the time you think of like Pittsburgh, it's like working class. It's like you know like obviously bands are going to stop along the way, but to make that
Right.
a real cultural hub is, I mean, like it makes all the sense in the world that somebody would try to do that because
Yeah.
there is
And
a lot of potential.
Lawrenceville has blown up in the last like 10 years too for that type of artistic area. A lot of artists, musicians, and stuff living there, stuff like that. So it's really cool, man.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh's one of the cities that made it out of that Rust Belt. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Detroit obviously hasn't recovered, and you know what I mean. You got Buffalo, Cleveland, all these different places, Baltimore. But
yeah. I mean, that's I haven't taken the time really to think about like the fallout from like old industry.
Right.
and like how it's had lingering effects on the cities, and like obviously a host of other factors too. But like, yeah, I mean that Pittsburgh has found a way to like I guess reinvent themselves. I mean, I guess it's kind of been a lot of banking. Like I know Ernst and
Well,
Young's got their thing there, and
and I guess there's a huge tech market here for people in their late 20s, early 30s and stuff that are that really made it. You know what I mean? They were some of the first places over on this part of the country to do like, like electric scooters and bike lanes, and
yeah.
it's real, you know what I mean, alternate transportation friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Pittsburgh, when I was living there, it kind of reminded me of Seattle, just with more hillbillies.
Shout out to the hillbillies, man.
Yeah,
We
I
love
mean,
you guys.
I fucking love them because they add something to that you'll never see in any other metropolis. Like,
It's funny because we call it Pennsyltucky.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
I mean, like I used to play softball out in Monroeville, and
Yeah.
like I got a real taste of. I mean, fucking, I learned how to make apple pie moonshine. Like I got a real taste for like legit Western PA.
Yeah,
When I was there.
like the West Virginia state line is a half hour away, so that all trickles over.
Yeah.
There's a real cool. Are you familiar with Morgantown, West Virginia?
Yeah. I used to hang out there.
Does a lot of stuff, and you know what I mean. There's a lot of bands in the jam band scene from Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Washington, all that area, who all support each other and do gigs together and all that stuff.
That is really cool to hear. It makes me regret a little bit where I was, mentally, like back, in my early 20s, like when I was 23
Right.
and living in Pittsburgh, because like I wasn't really going out to see much music. Like, yeah, I saw Soundgarden, and then I also saw the Melvins. They played at
Nice.
they played at that church that's a venue.
Mr. Smalls.
Yeah, Mr. Smalls.
Yeah.
I mean, that was sick. But yeah, like I wish I had seen, some of the more local stuff and like really gotten a taste of like what local entertainment is. Cause like I've learned that out here in the desert, like some of the best times you're ever going to have at a concert are going to be these small ass local venues.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of open mic nights and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like Thunderbird Cafe, the smaller venue, like Acoustic Hookah plays there a lot, bands like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really, really cool. There's a lot of music festivals that have popped up in the last 10 years out here, from the Panhandle, West Virginia, to Southern PA, you know what I mean, all the way over almost to Philadelphia and stuff. So it's really cool.
I mean, it is cool because, like, you never hear about the music coming from those places. Like, it's all about like, look at these people, like they're predisposed to the opium epidemic or the heroin epidemic, and like that's all you hear. And it's you never hear anything that's like fucking cool. Like hey, these people have a band, and like it's actually a really supportive community, and like
absolutely.
And like that's what's so cool about like working class areas is like that's where the best art comes from. Like that's where the real shit is going to be.
Well, you got to have some type of substance dealing in your life to, you know what I mean, create anything worth anything, I mean, in a way. So yeah.
I mean, I love the music scenes that we got like in Seattle and LA and stuff, but like it's not as cool when your parents are like lawyers and shit and like,
right. Yeah.
It's cool to like hear about, I don't know, just get a rougher around the edges kind of taste. I mean, shit, Amyl and the Sniffers, they used to open for Gizz, and they're another Flightless band. I mean, they're known as being sort of from Bogan country, which is basically the equivalent.
It's like a white trash Aussie or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. Which I fucking love that because it's like there's no trash word in it. It's just it's Bogan. It's just the word for it. It's cool.
Yeah. Speaking of Flightless, though, like I picked up. You brought her name up. Who's that girl on there?
Yeah, Leah Senior.
No, not Leah Senior.
Grace Cummings.
Grace Cummings, man. Holy cow.
Yeah,
she's rad. She's
fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I personally prefer Leah Senior because I just like her songwriting.
I listened to a little bit of her, but I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, old acoustic Dylan.
Yeah,
So that Cummings chick fit right into that.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
and she's just got such a powerful fucking voice.
Oh my God, man.
Like,
Well, it was funny because I started listening to her. It was like 6 a.m. You know what I mean? Getting ready to relax and lay down and stuff. And it was awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely delving into her a lot more now.
nice.
So
Yeah, I got to give her another listen. It's been a few months since I've put her albums on. But yeah, back to Gizz.
yeah.
So like you mentioned, you got into them like basically right after. I mean, basically that 2018, sort of like in between the 5 albums and Fishies.
Yeah.
So what was your take when you heard KG for the first time, or what has been your developing take on it?
I mean, it's great. Ontology's killer. I don't know. I'm not the type of person to like knock anything, like, oh, it's not as good as this, or because first of all, who am I to say what they're, you know what I mean? Like, even if I'm not into something, I don't knock it. It's just not for me. You know what I mean? Like, I respect anybody, what anybody's into. So like, I wouldn't be like, oh, they lost their spark and all that nonsense.
Oh yeah,
But
that's a bunch of horse shit. We're on the same page.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because for me that album was just like so. It went in so many different directions that all worked really well together.
Right.
And I'm still just
Like
sort of trying to
everybody
wrap my head
said, how
around
the
it.
singles fit so much better into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I mean, I kind of expected that. You know what I mean? I knew it would all make sense. But yeah, it's killer. I love it for sure.
yeah. And then they came out with the first track off of LW.
Is it officially going to be LW? Do we know that or no?
I mean, it's
It's
all signs point.
right, no doubt.
I mean, who knows? Maybe it's going to like be a 3-part series. So it's going to be KG, then AT, then LW, maybe.
Wow.
But I mean, that would honestly be the coolest fucking curveball for them to throw.
That would be fucking killer.
But in any case, like there was that first track off of it. If not now, then when?
Right. Yeah.
Did you get a chance to check that out?
Yeah. I listened to it a couple times. I watched the video a couple times, and I definitely dig it. It has a little more of a edge to me than anything off of KG so far. I mean, KG's got that, but compared to Microtonal, they say it's volume 2 and stuff, which is great. But I mean, Micro is just. It wins if they fought in a boxing match. You know what I mean? Micro would win for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like Flying Microtonal Banana. I'm pretty sure it's still my favorite album. Like pretty much between that and Polygon Land. But
that's the album that when I heard that was just like, okay, dude.
That's what got me hooked. I was just like, wait, they're just playing that open C sharp on open water. Like
I love it.
I mean, it's. Yeah, it's so simple, and then they just
Sleep Drifter and Open Water are like
melting too. I mean,
yeah.
You know, in fact, I would say Flying Microtonal Banana is the one album of King Gizz where I actually prefer the A side.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, like that was their first exploration into microtones and shit, and then like you got a little bit of it in sketches, but then seeing like the full. Like in what you said about if not now then when having more of an edge to it, like I definitely feel that because like that's one where it's like tugging more at the emotion of like the little intricate emotions, it seems to me than KG, which is just like kind of going balls to the wall in all these different areas,
different directions and stuff. Yeah,
like KG LW my first impression of it is it's going to be a little more like just poking at like the different, things.
Yeah, for sure.
But who knows? It's like I had a lot of guesses going into KG and I was wrong about most of it.
Yeah. And then, I mean, being a Deadhead, you know what I mean? The jazzy style. Oh, I heard on your podcast that you mentioned you picked up a Coltrane album.
Yeah.
Which is Miles Davis is one of my favorite artists of all time.
Yeah.
Coltrane as well, you know what I mean? I always compare Davis, like it's funny because like their playing styles, like Miles Davis is like Jerry and Coltrane is like Hendrix. You know what I mean?
Oh shit, yeah. I'll be honest. I haven't listened to enough Miles Davis to understand it fully, but it makes sense. Like
They have when Coltrane played with Davis, they had their band together. There's you can find it on YouTube. It's a show. It's like 67 or something like that is the year, but it's Stockholm, Sweden. Listen to that live show.
yeah,
It's crazy.
I absolutely will. I mean, how cool would it have been to see Hendrix play with the Dead? Like you know, fucking John Mayer is great, but like if Hendrix and like obviously Hendrix wouldn't replace Jerry, but like just to play,
it would
in
be
tandem.
odd because they were so different styles, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but like they could have totally done like a cover together all along the Watchtower, you know.
Oh
like,
yeah, I think if Hendrix hadn't died, it probably would have happened.
Yeah,
because in 1970 the Dead were kind of just really taking off, and Hendrix was super famous at the time. I mean, they obviously both played at Woodstock, you know, and yeah, all those bands knew each other and from the Bay Area, and you know what I mean, Janis and everybody, the band, like all. Have you ever seen or heard of a documentary called Festival Express?
No, I'm only familiar with The Last Waltz.
Well, right. What happened was in 1970, they got a train to go east to west across Canada, stopping and playing festivals along the way. It was the band, the Grateful Dead, yeah, Janis Joplin, Buddy Guy, all these killer bands. There's a documentary film about it. It's so cool.
Yeah, you know, that actually has been recommended to me before, because like I have a bunch of family in the Toronto area that are a lot of them are like blues and folk musicians.
Yeah.
And they've been talking about that for years. I always assumed that was like part of the same. I thought that and The Last Waltz were the same documentary for for the longest time. Yeah, that's definitely something I got to check out.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it shows like footage of them all just being on the train, playing together, hanging out, partying and stuff, you know, which is so fun to watch, man.
No, because I actually think my aunt did that with her folk band. Like she's in this she's been in this folk group for I don't know, like the last 25 years or so, called Quartet. And like I think because like they would go out from Toronto to British Columbia for the Vancouver Folk Festival every year. And like they would take the train. And I think they would just be they found a way to get themselves just booked on the train as entertainment to pay for their travel.
That's cool.
Yeah, it just really worked out for them. I'm pretty sure that was my aunt's group, and if it wasn't hers, she knew somebody who did that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's the plan for my wife and I, is to take the train to Chicago for that show. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, trains are so fucking underrated. Like, just as a way of travel. Like, I actually took a train from New York to Pittsburgh. Like when
I did too. I had too. Yeah.
It was a great ride. Like I even had a Megabus ticket beforehand, but after doing Megabus once, I was just like, no. Like it broke down twice.
Can't beat the price though.
Yeah, I mean, Megabus is absolutely brutal though. Like you never get stuck. You never get sat next to somebody who you want to be sat next to. There are a lot of questionable solo travelers, but like, thank God for Sheets being open and like us breaking down out of Sheets. But Wawa would have been better, but Sheets is still all right.
Wawa. Yeah, I had to take a bus from Ocala, Florida to Charleston, South Carolina in the middle of the night. And yeah, that was pretty sketchy, but you know, it was fun. I got, you know, met some interesting people, which I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a stop at the Atlanta bus station. I don't know if you've ever been through there, and
no.
It could be a sketchy place, man, but cool people as well. You know what I mean? So
I mean, that's where you're gonna find the absolute cool shit. It's gonna be like rough around the edges, and you
Yeah,
gotta find that diamond in the rough. Like it's, yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. But so you mentioned that you and your wife or girlfriend or whoever, I don't know, like you were both deadheads, like both second generation. So like,
Yeah.
how did all of that come about? Like, what's it like growing up being raised by deadheads?
uh it's a creative environment for sure. You know what I mean? My girlfriend is an amazing visual artist in any medium. You know what I mean? She's crazy at it. She does a few things, you know what I mean, here and there, uh, for money and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just for the love of creating. You know what I mean? We have 3 kids together, so our house is a real creative environment. You know what I mean? There's always, you know what I mean? Like I guess you can hear anything from Miles Davis to King Gizz playing in our house at any time. You know what I mean? So
Oh, that's so fucking
it's
cool.
definitely cool, man. Uh, yeah, I got into the Dead, like started going to shows anyways, probably late 90s, 97, 98 maybe. I was younger. Um, she's a couple years younger than me, but yeah, it's it's really cool, man. There's a big family cohesive. You can go anywhere in the world and see a Deadhead and your brothers, you know what I mean, your family. And I feel the same way about Gizz, you know what I mean?
Dude, me too. Like since I started this fucking podcast, like I've expanded my social circle, like in all of these, like just all over the world. Like I got people in, like I got my buddy Tom in Scotland. I got um, Carlos in Chile, and like a bunch of people in Australia, and then my buddy Jakub in fucking Czech Republic, man. Like it's and tons of people in Canada. Like it is like seriously the coolest fucking community, and like I imagine it's just the same with within the dead space and like probably Fish as well.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have been to a few Fish shows. I'm not a Fish fan though,
Mhm.
personally. And there's that little underlying joke and riff, you know what I mean, between Deadheads and Fish heads, and you know what I mean. But
Yeah,
yeah, we all love each other. It's great.
yeah, that's so fucking cool. So you and your girlfriend met at a show, or did you just meet outside
No, no,
of
no,
that space?
no. We met outside of it. Well, we met online, and her name is Cassidy, which is a Grateful Dead song she was named after. And I was like,
Fucking
oh,
A.
your name is one of my favorite songs names. And she's like, oh yeah, well, I'm named after that song. And then we started talking, and yeah.
Damn right, dude. Yeah, that's like a fucking I mean
It's the
that's like
universe,
ideal.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, that's so cool. I mean,
it's
just put
crazy.
that love out there and it's bound to reciprocate in some way. Like that's so fucking cool. Happy for you, dude.
Thanks,
Um
man. Yeah, she's amazing.
yeah, well, we've been going for actually no, I guess we've only been going for like 45 minutes. That's not that long.
What do
But
you think of the demos?
I absolutely love them. The demos, like it would. It's weird. I don't necessarily want the demos to be released as like its own vinyl record, but like I love how some of the songs started out, and I kind of wish that they would make like a separate album of like reworked versions that sounded more like the demos. Like
Right,
for
right. I get
example,
it.
like with the Paper Mache songs, most of what I like in Dirt, uh, like just hearing those like that sort of Tame Impala type of like poppy element,
Yeah,
um like those were I absolutely love those. And then also like the instrumental tracks of Spider and Me, and
Spider and Me
uh
is great. Even the demo number, like whatever 76 or 20, whatever they are,
yeah.
those stand out to me as a couple of my favorites on there. Just the instrumental, they're killer.
Yeah, I bought the like I bought the Live in Asheville show off Bandcamp, and I didn't buy the demos, and I just like about a month ago I ran out of free plays on the demos. So like I need to stop being such a cheap bastard and just get on that and listen to it more. But yeah, like also Music to Eat Bananas to is like I would like them just create like an ambient album of
Right.
just like just mood music, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would love something like that. Um, I'm also just excited for I mean, just what else they're gonna do. It sounds like they might go a little jazzier, you know, with LW. Um,
Right.
you know, because
Which
they've been talking.
I'm totally cool with. You know what I mean? I think Sketches is. I just ordered, um, Murder the Universe, Fishies, and Sketches on vinyl, the ATO copies or
Yeah,
whatever. But I've been trying to hold out, get flightless copies, but I'm like, forget it. I'll just get these for now. Just, you know what I mean? Because I got to have them and stuff.
yeah.
And
I
really
mean,
delve into.
you know, ATO does a great job, like with getting people cheaper records.
Yeah.
And like I have the ATO copy of Paper Mache, and I think I also have the ATO of Mind Fuzz, but I mean they play fine. They're, you know,
Yeah.
that's I don't think it really differs in quality. Um,
Cool.
but yeah, it is interesting to see how Flightless now has the Gizverse USA store.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I was just on there the other day.
yeah, but like it still seems like it's going to be a little while before that's fully stocked with stuff. It's just
Yeah. Everything that I was looking at sold out,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how well they keep that afloat. Like I think it's a really good business move. You know, since you've listened to this podcast plenty, you've probably heard me bring up that book, Everything I Know About Business, that I learned from the
By the
Grateful
Grateful
Dead.
Dead or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it, definitely pick it up, because it's just it gives you, like, it sort of reinvigorated my faith in business and like being an entrepreneur without being a complete scumbag. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean, and like one of these things, like, you know, I see so much, you know, parody between King Gizz and the Grateful Dead, and just how they, you know,
Well,
develop their business.
do you know if any of the members are Dead fans at
I'm
all? Like,
I'm sure.
I mean, obviously the two drummers, I mean, come on. That both
Mhm.
bands had two drummers. Um, like the Dead have a song called Bird Song. There's a lot of correlations and stuff that I catch. And
Yeah,
I just wonder if it's conscious or not, you know?
I'm sure it's. Oof, that's tough. I wonder. You know, that's a really good question, because like there's so many different ways you could answer it. Like, because obviously they're familiar with the Dead. You know, like
Right, right. Being
every
musicians, you would have to
yeah.
be, you know what I mean?
Especially such self-starters as them,
Yeah, yeah.
and also they're going into this with so much confidence, and like they haven't made too many mistakes either, whereas the Dead made like tens of $1,000 mistakes. Like,
Oh yeah, and their studio albums are, you know what I mean? They're just to kind of put out the songs that they plan on playing live. They never really put much into making them
yeah,
like Gizz does, you know what I mean? But
yeah, and who knows? Maybe Gizz saw that. Like, let's say that Gizz, they're very much familiar with the Grateful Dead business model, and they saw that the Dead had some very hit or miss albums. Like, people would either either be like all in on American Beauty, or they, I don't know, an album of theirs that didn't sell, but I know some of the earlier ones didn't.
right, right.
And they're just like, well, how do we get people in? Let's go with some concepts.
Yeah.
But I mean, also, they're naturally, you know, inclined, I
Just
think,
yeah,
to go
no doubt.
in that direction, because it's real too. Like it's because there's nothing about King Gizzard is contrived bullshit, you know, like, like,
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
um,
I agree, man.
yeah, but like but you know, but back to the Gizverse USA store, like, you know, when like in one of the last Gizz email, you know, um, emails that they sent out, they mentioned that Gizverse was being introduced as a means of getting more people in America a better experience with Flightless,
Right, right.
and foregoing the ridiculous shipping. Um, and even though that is part of the fun for me, of like ordering an album from them, it's like, it's gonna take months.
Yeah.
Like, that excites me somehow. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, like, but it's so cool to see them see that like, hey, there's way more of a market here. Like people, like, yeah, they have ATO and that'll get them through, but there is that flightless allure
Yeah, for
that
sure.
like we can make a major profit on if we, you know, invest a little bit in this, in whatever warehouse or whoever's managing Gizz USA. Send me an email because I might want to work for you. You know, like I wouldn't take most jobs, but like something working within the Gizzverse for money, I would absolutely do that. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, hit me up. But but it just seems
Now,
like such a good move.
what with Eric leaving the band and stuff? Now, Flightless is his child
Yeah.
basically, or
Yeah, Flightless is all Eric. And like King Gizzard is still staying on the label,
okay,
but they've in this is an interesting divorce that like I don't know if we'll ever even get the full story on it. I think
right?
you know, I'm sure there's some stuff that they'd rather just keep private, and that
Oh,
makes
for
sense.
sure.
There's,
And
you know,
they're kind of private like that, anyways. I think to an extent.
yeah, I mean I think
Some
they're
of them more than others, you know.
I think they measure how extroverted they are. You know, like they measure their, you know, output, you know, of like fan friendliness and stuff. Because you have to, otherwise
Right.
you get people mooching off you, and
Yeah,
that creates a bad space.
and overstepping their boundaries. You know what I mean? Like they're still people. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Don't.
yeah, and people will overstep boundaries all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
No doubt.
so no, taking that into account, I think they've got a pretty good balance figured out. You know, like it's an odd life until you get it right? But yeah, like I think with Flightless though, you know, since Eric has totally he's totally divorced himself from King Gizzard, aside from being you know, still having them on his label, like
Hmm.
now cause he used to be the manager as well, and now they've
Right.
got I actually think they just have Sam, the sound man, taking over tour managing,
Oh,
um
okay.
and then they might have some other, you know, managers that aren't Eric, but it's, yeah, I would have to imagine Eric's gonna still come with them to the marathon shows, because
Yeah, Red
like,
Rocks.
I mean, if you own the label, why wouldn't you also
Yeah,
use to play? Like, I honestly think that they will have him play with them
yeah. I
at
hope
least
so, for sure.
on at least a couple songs, you know, or maybe just at the end. But
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah, well, let's see. I think we'll get to wrapping up pretty soon. But
Yeah, for sure.
what's something Giz related that you've been thinking about that we haven't touched on yet?
Jeez, I don't know, man. There's a whole lot. I'm just excited for this next release, you know what I mean? Big time. Like the single's cool, but hopefully we don't have to wait 3 more singles to get it, I guess, you know. Who knows? Which is
Yeah,
cool too, you know what I mean? But, you know,
I mean, and there probably will be, but
yeah.
and one thing I'm gonna really try hard not to do is overexpose the singles to myself, because I murdered those fucking songs off of KG, and
Yeah.
like, so like now it's not as exciting for me to listen to KG,
Right.
um
Right.
you know, when like and especially because what it was, like I had a playlist of those 4 singles, like you know, and like it, because I didn't know what the order of the album was going to be. Like it started with Honey, and then went into Straws in the Wind, and Some of Us, and then, you know, Automation at the end. Um,
Yeah.
and so now whenever I hear the album and I hear those songs, I'm just like like after Honey's on, I'm expecting Straws in the Wind, and
Right.
like
Right.
after and like after Automation, I'm always expecting you know, Honey to come on, and yeah, it's a bit of a mind fuck that I'm trying to undo. So I want to, you know,
Yeah.
not overstep with LW or
Yeah,
what,
no doubt.
or AT, whatever the next album is.
Yeah, and the straws on the demo, man, is I really dig a lot.
Yeah, that was an interesting jam, because it sort of it did sort of bring to light like, hey, maybe this is sort of what we might see live. Like maybe they're gonna maybe they'll like draw straws way out,
Yeah.
and just create like a real jam in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally excited about, and that's also another reason I haven't really like put a stamp in my mind on these songs yet until we start hearing them live. And I mean, I'm sure they're all gonna bang live. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that for sure.
I'm interested to see which songs they put on the rotation,
Hmm.
initially, and I'm also interested to see what of the older stuff they're gonna, maybe play for the first time, or to start, reintroducing, because like they've always, like, I guess last year with the Rat's Nest tour, that's when they really started to pull from some of their older stuff that they had never played live before.
Well, they
Um,
might have kind of had to balance out the edge of Rat's Nest. You know what I mean? So it wasn't all just so
yeah,
thrash. You know what I mean?
I mean, for sure. I mean, introducing "Work This Time" as a regular, "Let Me
Yeah.
Mend the Past." I mean,
Oh yeah.
those songs are just, I mean, they're the fucking best, mellow songs. But anyway, John, thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, I'd love to have you back sometime.
My pleasure, man. Anytime, dude. We'll definitely keep in contact.
For sure, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, take it easy and stay safe.
Take care. All right.
Thanks for
Later,
listening,
man.
guys.
Later.